Are you tired of sounding like every other brand out there? Do you want a voice that truly connects with your audience? In this video, which is a training video, so grab your pencils and your notebook, I am going to reveal secrets to crafting a unique voice that will make your brand stand out from the crowd. We will explore how to build a strong and consistent brand voice that resonates across various communication channels, including email and social media. We'll discover key development strategies, implementation tactics, and methods to ensure that you can measure and refine your brand voice. We're going to begin by really helping you understand exactly what this video is going to entail, right? What we're going to discuss and how to develop a consistent brand voice and create guidelines. And then we're going to look at applying your brand voice in email communication and social media platforms. Finally, we'll cover how to measure success and continuously improve your brand voice. Understanding the concept of brand voice. We're going to discuss the key elements that contribute to a unique brand voice and the importance of identifying your target audience and brand values. If you haven't done so already, please make certain that you subscribe, okay, to the channel. Make certain that you like the video. Absolutely share it with your friends and on your social media platforms if you know someone who needs to essentially understand their brand voice. So when we talk about a brand voice, it is the consistent expression of your brand through tone, language, and style. It helps create a memorable identity and build trust with your audience, distinguishing you from competitors. As we see here, it is the whole entire essence of being consistent, memorable, building audience trust, and differentiating from your competitors. Some of the key elements in regards to your brand voice is really understanding the tone, the language style, the personality trait, and the communication channel. Together, these elements form the distinct way your brand communicates with its audience. When we look at our tone, we want our tone to reflect the emotional qualities of your brand and what you intend to communicate, right? This is going to really set the mood for engagement. And then your language style is going to define, the vocabularies and the sentence structure that you use with your brand. We could think of various brands that are well known, and we could probably associate their language style with their brand. And then we don't want to forget about personality traits, right? These are going to be the things that's going to shape how your brand expresses itself, creating a relatable and consistent identity. And then we don't want to overlook, right? How are we communicating? What channel are we using? Because depending on the channel, it's going to determine where and how your brand voice is going to reach your audience effectively. Let's talk about identifying your audience and your brand value. Do you know your audience? You want to identify the preferences and the needs of your target audience and tailor your message effectively. As a matter of fact, we have a video on the channel entitled, you know, um, Building a Million Dollar Shopper's Persona. And I'm going to include it in the show notes so that you're able to grab it very quickly. But what it does is it's a mini workshop that walks you through essentially building your individual shopper who is buying your products. And then, of course, you want your brand to align with your voice. So the brand consistency is going to reflect your core values for authenticity, which is super important. And then, of course, we want to create meaningful connections. Authentic alignment is always going to be better, and it's going to build deeper and lasting connections with customers. How about our next topic, which is developing a consistent brand voice? So, how do I develop a consistent brand voice, right? Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to establish our actual brand tone. What does it look like? Is it friendly? Is it professional? Or is it very casual in the way you communicate? Every brand has a tone, and you want to understand what your tone is. Some is very reserved, some is very assertive, some is, very, catchy. So, what is your tone? You may have favorite sayings or various phrases that you use to stand out. Your language preference. Using language styles and vocabularies in a consistent manner across all your messaging is going to be a very powerful tool. This is going to help identify your tone as well as the way in which you communicate. And then you want to reinforce your brand identity. So, consistency in your tone and language is going to strengthen your brand recognition and build trust with your audience, especially when we talk about in email communication. Okay. The other thing that we want to talk about is really creating a voice style guide. So, a detailed style guide outlines how to apply the brand voice in different contexts, including your preferred vocabulary or grammar. And examples, right? Helps everyone in your organization communicate consistently. So, create a brand voice style guide so that anytime anyone in your organization is communicating with a potential customer, client, or anyone outside of the actual organization, they're receiving the same voice. It's like speaking with one voice. Train your team for consistency. So do not keep this hidden. You want to provide the necessary training and resources to your team members so they understand and embody the actual brand voice in their daily communication, which should foster consistency across departments and channels, right? So having training internally helps ensure that the brand voice is communicated properly outside of the organization. Next, we're going to talk about implementing your brand voice in email communication. So, as you know, this channel is dedicated to equipping you to become an email expert, like how you can build your business from email communications. And one of the things that we like to talk about on this channel is making certain that we understand how and who our customers are. So you want to really learn how to craft email subject lines and greetings that reflect your brand voice. You want to write compelling content aligned with your tone and balance professional personalization and professionalism. When we're talking about crafting subject lines and greetings that match your brand, you know, this is going to be something that is going to capture the attention while reflecting your brand's personality. Greetings set the tone for your email and should be consistent with your established guidelines, right? So we shouldn't have a what's up if that's not something that you normally say. If hi or hello friend is something you normally say and that's your brand tone and language, then you want to use that. You don't want to use anything that's going to confuse your audience. And then, of course, you want to write compelling and on brand email content. So ensure your email content is engaging and aligns with your brand voice by maintaining the right tone, the clear message, and adding value to your audience. Those elements are going to be key in ensuring that your audience is receiving the message that you're sending through that email. And then personalization and maintaining professionalism. We call them family, and they really are a part of your family once they become your customer. But we don't want to scare them off, right? So we want to balance that personal touch to connect with recipients while upholding a professional standard that reinforce your brand credibility and worth and trustworthiness. We don't want to sacrifice that brand trustworthiness for likes or trying to be trendy, if you will. And then, of course, adopting tone and messaging for different platforms. Each platform is going to have its very own unique style and audience. You don't communicate with people on TT like you do on IG, you know? It's just a different kind of vibe. So you want to make certain that you are adjusting to the platform that you're using. So each social media environment, while keeping your brand voice consistent, has its own individual way in which you will reach or communicate with that particular group. Um, when we think about visual and multimedia, right, that's going to help enforce our voice as well. So any kind of visual elements like images, videos, graphics, that can enforce your brand voice by complementing your tone and messaging and creating a cohesive brand experience. So do not skip on those elements inside of your email because they actually are very beneficial in helping reinforce your brand voice. So, how do you measure success with your brand voice? We're going to explore how to track audience engagement and feedback, analyze brand sentiment, and iterate on your brand voice to keep it relevant and effective over time. So, using analytical tools to monitor how your audience interacts with your content across channels is going to help you understand exactly what resonates and where improvements are needed. That is going to be key in ensuring that your audience do not become alienated from your brand because they no longer feel connected to who you are or how you're representing the brand. So, tracking the audience engagement and feedback can give you clear indicators of when it's time to either pull back or give more of something inside of your actual communication. When we analyze brand sentiment and perception, this is talking about, public perception through potential surveys, social listening, and feedback to gauge how your brand voice is received and perceived by your target audience. So when you're looking at the surveys, you want to use surveys to directly gather the insight on how your customer perceives your brand voice and messaging. Send out, quizzes or other types of feedback. You may have to offer some things in order for the for the recipients to respond, but that's okay. Give a little to take, give a little to receive a little. Also, in social media listening, monitor your social media platforms to capture like real-time public sentiments and feedback about your brand. And then lastly, customer feedback. Now, customer feedback can be as gentle and as harsh as A to Z, okay? So you have to carry a pretty tough skin to really understand that feedback in and of itself is not meant to tear you down, but it is meant to give you a perception of how you're being perceived. And you have to measure it, right, with all the feedback, not just one particular piece. And then, of course, evolving your brand voice over time. A brand voice should evolve with your audience and market trends. Generally, we want to review and update your guidelines to ensure your voice remains authentic and impactful, right? So when we're looking at our brand voice, we want it to grow out alongside changing audience preferences and market trends to stay relevant and engaging. And then, of course, we always want to consistently revisit and update any kind of brand guideline to help maintain authenticity and maximize the impact with our audience. Okay. And lastly, okay, we want to remind you that building and maintaining a consistent brand voice across media, from email and social media, it's going to strengthen your brand identity and foster audience trust and drive engagement. So continuous refinements based on feedback ensure your brand voice stay relevant and powerful. So we have an 8-week cohort that is still open, and we would love for you to join us. Simply click the link inside of the show descriptions, and you can get in the next class when it opens. Also, if you go to the bizstrategystudio.com website, on the website is all the ways in which you can engage with the community. The website will be listed also in the show notes. We again ask you to please remember to subscribe to the channel and like the video. And if you have a desire to see a particular subject around email marketing be presented on the channel, leave me a little note or send me a note, and we would love to work on getting that particular video up for you. But other than that, you guys have a wonderful evening, and we will see you in the next video.